Okay. Welcome to Film Student Study Guide. This is the 17th episode. I'm Roberto and This is Truman Matheny. This episode is over Da Five Bloods, which is a Spike Lee film that came out this year. I believe it's a Netflix only release.
Yep.
Okay.
Also, Roberto, tell them what's important about this episode.
It's the last episode for now. We're going on a hiatus. Truman is going back to school. I'm going back to school. This podcast mainly started because we weren't in school anymore and it was quarantine and we needed something to do, and I needed an excuse to watch movies. But now that we're going to be busy again in school, we don't really know. Our schedules are going to change a lot. And so we've also just been doing this fairly consistently for the past 4 or 5 months.
Weeks.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
It is a long time.
It'll wear you out.
I haven't been weared out yet, but it gets there. So we're just gonna take a break until we figure out whether we want to continue doing it or whether we have time to continue doing it. And I imagine that at some point we might do like a Christmas episode or something. We might also not. I don't know. But for now, this is gonna be the last episode.
So get pumped.
Get hyped. I peaked the audio levels there.
I say we jump right into it. I have some opening statements to make about this film.
Go for it.
I don't think I like Spike Lee.
Okay. Why?
I think he's pretty overhyped.
Okay.
And every time I've watched one of his films, I've been relatively disappointed. I enjoyed Black Klansman. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed She's Gotta Have It.
Uh-huh.
Chirac was good. It was a little over the top, as a lot of Spike Lee's movies are, but it was good. But none of them have really seemed to me to be exceptional. And I know I'm in a disagreement place about Do the Right Thing. I must not get something or something like that, but I just don't enjoy Do the Right Thing.
I think it's a good film, and I think it's interesting. I don't know. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I'll let you finish.
My problem with Do the Right Thing was that they're having this whole argument over something so stupid as whether or not there should be African American pictures on the wall of a pizza place.
Isn't that the point?
I hated watching it. I thought it was so stupid.
I don't think the point of the argument is what they're arguing about.
I disagree. When, I get that, the big thing about that film is that climax of, the police violence. But then why is, I don't know, I'm guessing it's around a 2-hour movie. Why is an hour and 30 minutes of that 2-hour movie people arguing about pictures in a pizza place?
Well, that's not all it is, and I feel like a lot of it is a lot of it is not only just the argument. Like that's a very small part of the movie. That is what leads to the final climax, but I feel like a lot of the movie is spent on showing you what life is like there and the different characters and the different kinds of people who live there.
I don't know. I just found it very, very uninteresting and boring for an hour and 30 minutes. And then at the very end, he gave me something cool. And I think that's bad filmmaking.
I have a feeling that you feel the same way about this film.
No, I don't feel the same way about this film. I think it was bad throughout.
Okay. I can. Okay.
And I'll speak to what things I think about why it was bad throughout. I do think there were some good action sequences for sure. So if we're judging this purely from the point of view of this is an action film, I do think there are maybe 3 good action sequences that are, totally worth it. Really enjoyable action sequences. I do enjoy all the landmines. I thought they were all ridiculous and awesome. There were 2 really good shootouts too. But yeah, all the landmine sequences were good. So overall, I just wanted to state that, I think it's so important for there to be an African American voice in cinema. And I think Spike Lee is very conscious of that. But for someone who has so much hype around his African American voice and how it is represented in his films, and all of that stuff, right? I think his films always fall flat. And so I think that one's very specific for this movie as well. I was very excited about this movie too. I figured it was going to be discussing the plight of African American veterans, right? And I don't think it did that. I think it wasted it on a stupid action-adventure movie concept that is only done with a bunch of old people that I don't like.
I can agree with the first part of that statement. I think that there's a lot of heavy topics and very strong, ideas and emotions around certain topics, which is very evident and honestly throughout the movie. But especially I feel like in almost all of his movies, or at least in Black Klansman and this one, towards the end, he just sort of just puts it, Spike Lee just sort of gives a PowerPoint slide of and this is bad.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I keep getting really annoyed with, is how often he does, one of those, I call them ego jerks.
Okay.
Where a director does something, and Gaspar Noé may be the most obnoxious one who does things like this. But many directors are very victim to it. And that's whenever a director does something along the lines of, and a lot of times it happens with the editing too, when they go, guess what? I can do this. Check that out. Look at it. Oh, did you see that? I can do that. So, for example, in this movie, when they're just having a conversation and he decides to put the picture up on the screen, I felt like that was unmotivated and ridiculous. And I think it happened multiple times in the film.
Yeah.
It also happened a couple times in Black Klansman, which annoyed the crap out of me. But yeah. So yeah, I guess my biggest thing about it is I was really excited to hear about, African Americans fighting a war for their country that is currently placing horrible restrictions and laws against them, and treating them poorly, as they are doing the dirty work of the wealthy and the powerful, right?
Did you not
and
get
especially that? So here's
They call
the
it
thing.
out.
Here's the thing. One character gives a lecture on this. And that happens in maybe 15 minutes of the film. So first off, the screen time allocation of what I'm interested about this film and what I'm not interested about this film, I think is way off. And then on top of that, is it really the best way to discuss the most important topic of your film with one lecture from one character? You couldn't find a better visual way to show that? Film's a visual medium, man. I find it foolish that they take their most important key point and they just shove it into one lecture.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would agree.
So that was my biggest problem. I have other problems, but I don't want to keep rambling on before you've had the chance to speak on it.
Yeah.
So, do you have a couple points you'd like to make?
I mean, I feel like this movie needs, like, not really. I feel like it needs to choose what it wants to be, I guess.
I like that point.
Because they're searching for gold in the hills of Vietnam. They're also trying to, like, seek mourning for their dead friend. And then there's, like, there's just, I feel like there's too much, and too many of it is, like, too much of it is, like, any of the topics that are brought up in this film could be their own movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot. There's a lot of different things that are brought up that are only given, like, 5 to 10 to 15 minutes of screen time, maybe, throughout the film. And I don't know. It's just, like, I feel like you could split it up into a lot more. You could fit it up into more films and then give each thing like its own, like, due amount of service and process that it needs to be, and you get a much better product, and you'd go through you go through it all, like, properly. Or I don't know. Does that make sense?
No, I agree. And I do think he had 2 hours and 30 minutes on this movie. You know what I mean?
Which is fairly a lot.
It's enough to discuss a good amount of topics and really dive deep. And then he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll compare this to Black Klansman because, like, I was watching that, and it's been a while. It's been a couple of years. I probably saw it whenever, like, a year after it came out, whenever it was on Netflix. I watched it, and, like, they planted the premise, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm hooked in. I'll watch whatever is happening, and it, like, stayed on it, and it kept, like, progressing it and adding new, more interesting things, and, like, there's, like, a very, like, there's a very precise focus on one thing. And I feel like this movie just, like, doesn't... It tries to do too much at once, I guess.
I don't think it has tonal consistency, I would say.
Yeah, I would also say that. There's this one weird shot. So right after they find the gold, and they're like, cool, we found the gold. And then they're back in their camp cleaning out the gold. And then they're talking to one of their friends. He's like, I've lost all my money. And then they're like, oh, okay, cool. And then it just
Yeah.
it just cuts to like people in the bushes, like, look, there they are. And then those people in the bushes don't come back till like 45 minutes later. It's like, why even show that? Why even do that? And then right after they cut to the people in the bushes, they cut to like them finding their dead friend. And I'm just like, I'm this entire time that they're looking at that they're finding their dead friend, and like it's a very like emotional moment. Like I'm just like, okay, but the people were right there. They were looking at them. And they had guns. I care about the people who had guns who are pointing at the people. Like, cool, they found that, like, I don't know. I feel like you could probably edit this movie into a very different movie.
You could edit this movie into a couple different movies, I think. But also, I think the other big problem I had was that I don't think I liked any of the characters or cared about any of the characters.
Yeah.
I really just didn't enjoy the characters. And part of that, I think, is, and I don't know whether it's an acting issue or a writing issue or a directing issue, but the performances, I thought almost all of them fell flat. And I like the actor that plays, I think his name's Paul.
Yeah.
He's the son.
The son?
Yeah, who's the son?
Oh, I don't know, but the Paul is the dad.
Okay, so yeah, I like the son. The actor who plays the son, he was really good in The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Oh, I need to watch that. I had it, damn it.
I'm not a huge fan of The Last Black Man in San Francisco, but I did enjoy it. It was very slow, and it wasn't what I was expecting, but it was good. I enjoyed it, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think it carried too terribly much hype with it. But, yeah, I was excited about it, and it didn't quite, deliver based on the excitement I had. But at the same time, I just get excited about things not based on their hype. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it didn't live up to my personal hype, which isn't reflective of the general public. So yeah, good film, not fantastic in my opinion, but I do think, and here's a perfect example of exactly what we're talking about, it has a very specific point it wants to make about African American life, and it sticks to pretty much that one topic the whole time. And it's about, I'd say it's mostly about gentrification. I'd say that's probably the best way to define the topic. But at the same time, it's not just like, this is one topic we are giving a lecture about. It is a multifaceted issue, and they explore that issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know that boiling a whole film's theme into one word is the best move, but at the same time, it has a topic, it sticks to that topic.
Yeah.
And it does it in a relatively compelling story. I think the main character can be, in Last Black Man in San Francisco, can be a bit dull at times. But overall, that's the only thing that really slows it down,
Mm-hmm.
Do you have more you want to say about Da 5 Bloods? Let's keep moving.
He broke the 180 rule in the beginning, and I never
Oh
realized
my
how
God.
jarring that is until now.
Yeah. That's one thing. Carter and I have arguments about the 180-degree rule a lot. And I go, oh, dude, we can't break the 180-degree rule. And he's like, bro, rules schmools. Like, what's it even matter? And yeah, the 180-degree rule is one of the, least important rules in cinema, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the most frequently broken, and it really only is relevant in, you know, dialogue sequences.
Yeah, but he broke it in a dialogue sequence and nothing like significant happened. Like there wasn't like any motivation to break it. It was just in the middle of the conversation. We were just on the other side of the table. And we're like, what happened?
And yeah, that may have been the most jarring 180-degree rule break I've ever seen. And it happened for no reason. And it definitely like, typically I don't catch those things. I'm not that observant, really.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I really am in hyper observant mode or know to look for it, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was jarring as all hell.
Yeah, it just felt weird. Like something was off. I'm like, what? Wait, did they break the 180? Is that what happened?
That's exactly what it did for me, too.
Yeah, it was just like, huh? Wait, huh? Why would he do that? Nothing's happening. What?
And also the other thing is, it's while I'm still getting used to the characters and learning who the characters are, which makes it even more complicated. Like, I haven't really attached faces to names and personalities yet.
Yeah.
You know?
And you're still, like, on trying to figure out people. As a yeah, I just feel like the movie goes too slow. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like,
I didn't think it was necessarily slow-paced, but I thought it was uninteresting the whole time.
Yeah, I don't...
Except for the action sequences.
I mean, even in the action sequence, this might just be me, but I could tell them, like, oh, they're not using blanks. They're literally just holding the gun and pointing, and there's no recoil. Like, the bolt isn't even moving. But that's, like, a me thing that I would
There
notice.
was one part where shooting a gun had totally ruined one single part. That was when the guy with the broken leg, the son, shoots the guy and totally nails him right in the head, one-handed, and he's never shot a gun before.
He was resting on the person's shoulder. So he had, like, more stable aim. But, yeah. Bullshit.
Like, no way.
I just think in the beginning of the first time that there's, like, gunfire, like, it's very clearly that they're, like, firing those mags. I believe standard came with 25 rounds, I believe it was. And so it's very clear that they're full autoing people and missing a lot, and then they're like, okay, reload, and then full autoing again, and then they're like, okay, reload, and they're like shouting it out, like reloading, right? Which is good, like, cool. But then there's other times where, like, there's certain scenes where someone is just like holding down or just firing, moves, fires, and just continues to just hold the gun, and they're just like, I don't know. It has like the Hollywood gunfight syndrome of just like pointing the gun at things and just shooting as fast as possible.
Yeah, I don't mind Hollywood shootout syndrome. I just don't like that they made the point of going, I've never even shot anybody before, and then he's the one who nails the guy, one shot, headshot, kill. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just a little bit too much for me. You know, I can totally be down with this, like, you know, guy who's been super heavy trained and he's super awesome at shooting guns, so he's gonna make every shot, you know what I mean? Like, I can get with the fact that we're not in full reality and just accept that, like, we've got trained experts who are super incredible at guns, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't get behind, hey, look, you've never shot a gun before. Here's a gun. Kill him.
Yeah,
at the exact right time.
that doesn't bother me as much. I don't know why. All of the other things do.
I did not like the choice where the old actors play the younger versions of themselves in the Vietnam flashbacks.
Okay, why?
It totally felt weird to see guys with gray hair in Vietnam. Though it was weird.
I wonder what the like idea behind it was, because like if you're trying to show that like someone like they're still stuck in Vietnam, or that they're like back again, then like I don't know, there might be more interesting things that you could do like with it, of like when people like there's this one scene whenever like they're in a campsite, and Paul's son is like, wait, what was that? And then like Paul immediately goes into like full PTSD mode and is like just like freaking out and like scanning the horizon and doing all those things. And like I don't there might have been like some interesting way that you could like cut and then, or like do a pan, and then he's like back to his young self in Vietnam or something, and then whenever he like comes out of it, then he's like
I did like
his self
the
again.
change. I did like the change in aspect ratio to divide it. I did appreciate that. I thought that was a really good choice and worked really well. And I also think that was shot in film rather than the rest of the movie
Being
at
digital.
least appearing to be shot digitally.
Interesting.
I mean, didn't you notice that it had a very different look?
Yeah,
and
it definitely had a very different look.
Yeah. So,
I just couldn't put my finger on it.
My guess, because I looked and saw what looked to be legitimate grain in the old stuff, and I didn't see grain in, the rest of the film.
Yeah, I just couldn't tell between the between the Netflix compression and not. But I definitely, now that you've said that, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like, there's definitely like a visual difference of like compression, or just like the way that like colors worked.
Yeah. It was also very green. Very green. I think another thing I have a problem with is that, well, I guess I'll finish my point. I think if they were all old men in Vietnam, I could have gone with that. But when Chadwick Boseman, a maybe 30-year-old supposed to look more like he's 20, I don't know how old he is, but, young man, is lecturing people who still look like they're 50, 60, whatever, it looks real weird to me.
Yeah.
And unappealing. I just don't like looking at that. It's weird. And not in a good way. And then I'll move on to, and again, I don't know whether this is a script problem, a directing problem, an acting problem, but all of the slang seemed very, very forced to me. Whenever they did use kind of like, I don't know if this is a politically correct way to say it or not, so you'll have to cue me in, but like jive talk or whatever, that kind of slang, it really was not natural. It did not seem like the actors were speaking how they would have actually spoke. And I get that Spike, a very important, aspect of Spike Lee's filmmaking is that his characters talk like he talks and, you know, all the people who he grew up with talks, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fantastic that he's bringing, you know, his African American slang to the public. But it really sounded like a lot of it sounded, and this is a huge like hyperbole, but it sounded like a rich white kid saying the N-word for the first time.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but it definitely felt weird when like an old person is like, "Cool, bet." I'm like, "Huh?"
Actually, the one time that I remembered hearing bet, that was the first time I was like, man, that one actually sounded natural.
Okay, but it was coming from a dude who's in his 60s.
Yeah, but I think there were a lot of slang terms where I was just like, that may have been the first time that guy said that. You know, it just felt very, very weird.
Huh.
You know how, like, when you're talking to middle schoolers and they just started cursing for the first time?
Yeah.
And you can tell that they're just really bad at it, and they're not doing it grammatically incorrect or anything like that, but it just doesn't sound right. That's what it sounded like to hear these guys use.
Yeah, it just doesn't like feel right, I guess.
Yeah.
Huh.
You know, so I don't know whether that was an acting problem or a directing problem or a script problem. But yeah it was... It felt silly.
I don't know. I mean, what do you think this movie did well? Because I feel like we're just ripping this movie apart, and I feel like it did some things good.
I liked the action sequences.
Okay.
I said that before. I'll say it again. There were fun action sequences. I liked when the mine went off the first time.
Oh yeah,
I think
that was great.
One sequence where the mine went off for the first time, that was good. I will say the monologue that preceded the mine going off was super obnoxious, and I was like, oh my god, I'm about to turn this movie off. And that mine freaking saved that scene. And then when the son gets stuck on the landmine, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I liked that sequence as well.
Yeah, the whole mine sequence is actually really good, especially because they set that up earlier in the movie whenever they run into the people who, like, defuse mines. Like, whenever that happened, I'm like, oh, someone's going to step on a mine in this movie. I know it.
I saw it. It came out of nowhere for me, but it didn't seem unwarranted because...
No. Yeah, I mean,
you
like...
know, it's Vietnam, and there probably are still a whole bunch of active landmines.
There's still mines left over from World War I in France.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's a big problem.
Are they taking care of that?
I mean, they are, but there's still... It's been 100 years, and there's still, like, unexploded shells and mines and things. So... Like, every once in a while, like, they'll find... like, even in Britain, whenever it got bombed during World War II, they'll, like, be digging for, like, a new train tunnel or whatever, and they're like, oh, there's a bomb there. Oh, no, it's still live. And then they just have to, like, evacuate and call in the EOD team.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a problem.
And then I also... And I don't know that this is really that huge a compliment, because when you're working with such a, you know, a beautiful, interesting landscape that is Vietnam, the cinematography throughout a lot of the movie was great, specifically in the beginning. As we're just exploring those landscapes, I really appreciated that. It's kind of the same with the Hangover movies, which is really funny. Is like the first movie is just a Hangover movie, And the second movie is a hangover movie that has a ton of beautiful scenic shots of Thailand. And it's like, wow. Okay. Now I'm watching a hangover movie with beautiful cinematography.
Interesting. I kind of want to watch those movies now.
It's kind of funny. I would recommend The Hangover 1 and 2. They're both fun.
Gotcha.
3 did not need to happen and wasn't good.
Gotcha. So you're talking about the cinematography. I feel like it was very easy to tell, like, what scenes were filmed on location and what scenes could have been like a sound stage.
I was not looking for that and didn't notice any of that.
It just felt like I don't know. Whenever I think of like Vietnam jungle, I think of like Apocalypse Now or like things like that, or Full Metal Jacket, or I haven't seen Platoon, but I don't know. I feel like some of the locations that they're at, I'm like, that feels like they're just in the woods somewhere. Like, specifically the landmine scene. Like, it doesn't feel like it's just trees and dirt. Like, and while I know that there's probably some place in Vietnam like that, and I would not be surprised if that, like, is just like a mile or so away from, like, wherever they were, like, in a jungle. Like, I kind of want them to be in a jungle. Like, that's just sort of what I expect. Like, whenever Paul was, like, wandering around in the jungle towards the end, I'm like, oh, cool, he's in a jungle. Can we be in the jungle more? Can we be in the jungle? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Did you notice this one sequence that I thought was absolutely ridiculous and hilarious? Establishing shot. Son says to dad, "Man, what is that sound?"
Yeah.
And he goes, and dad goes, "Cicadas." And then son goes, They don't sound like they do back home." Dad goes, "That's 'cause we're not home." Establishing shot, next scene. They had to include that as its own scene, bookended by establishing shots of the jungle. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous.
See, that's funny because I'm like, oh no, those are cicadas. That sounds like what it sounds like here.
That was the other thing was, but it does sound like how cicadas sound like.
Yeah, I could like open my door and I'm like, oh, cicadas, and then I close my door again. However, I will say that in New York, which is where Spike Lee is from, cicadas only really show up in August, or like towards the very, very end of the summer. Sort of like now, but even later. Sort of like around my birthday, because they always, or into maybe September, because they always like used to be there whenever like whenever you could hear cicadas, like, oh, the summer is coming to an end. The summer is ending, because they would have showed towards the end of the summer, and then now they're just like, you can hear cicadas in like November sometimes, like they're just here.
Interesting. But yeah, I thought that was really, really stupid and almost laughably B-movie bad. Just ridiculous. I think I have one more critique.
Okay.
I'm not certain though here. No, I did have one idea though.
Okay.
I think a better idea may have been to discuss the Tuskegee Airmen rather than old Vietnam veterans. I do like the idea of how, you know, the Vietnam War coincides with the civil rights movement, and it is a great time to talk about, you know, Black Service, right? But also the Tuskegee Airmen were like the first time that, to the best of my knowledge, the first time that African Americans were allowed to fight in a war.
They fought in the Civil War. They fought in the Revolutionary War.
Well, then I'm just completely wrong.
They also
But
fought
the
in World War
Tuskegee
I.
Airmen, I do know at least that it's a very interesting topic of history and very related, and possibly could have made a much better on-topic film if we focused on
I don't know. I mean, I feel like
service.
I feel like the Tuskegee Airmen have been like overplayed a bit, and I feel like the important part of this movie is not that it is a war movie, is that it's a movie that happens after the war movie.
See, I don't like that because I just don't like it.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Spike Lee is going for something different because he in the beginning, like they talked about like why are there no like war movies where like people like get shot and people die, or like that are about like losing Vietnam because we lost. Like they're going on about like the Rambo movies. Like why are all the movies trying to go back and like win Vietnam again? Like we lost. And so I he might be trying to do something different with that. But then at the same time, there's still like the Hollywood action sequences and like that are still very, very Hollywood. And
have you seen The Deer Hunter?
No.
That movie's kind of interesting. I watched it and didn't know what to expect, and when I actually saw it, it almost like I just didn't know what to do with it for a minute. And now that I've like finished it, I've kind of developed an enjoyment for it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I still don't know that I fully understand it. But yeah, it's all about like the PTSD after the war. And specifically, it's just, it has one very specific, maybe even two. One of them's in the name, deer hunting. You know, deer hunting is a very specific and important topic throughout the whole film. And then there's one other that I don't want to give away.
Okay.
But yeah, it was definitely interesting, and it was budgeted to me as a Vietnam War movie. So I totally didn't know what to do with it when it took them almost an hour to get into the Vietnam War sequence, which the Vietnam War sequence maybe was only like 45 minutes. And then they did an hour after the Vietnam War sequence.
So it's like a 3-hour movie?
About, yeah, I believe so.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, it totally threw me off guard when I was like, all right, they're building up the characters. And then we're going to have a whole bunch of Vietnam stuff that's going to be crazy. And what is cool about Deer Hunter is that they don't just, like, you know, ship them out and now they're in training. It basically, with one cut, goes from, all right, let's go enlist, to we're in the shit. You know?
Yeah.
It cuts pretty quickly. So it's interesting. It's a cool movie to check out. I think I put it on one of the 2 lists I sent you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like this is Val's problem. This is a victim of one of the things that I said in the very beginning of like, it just tries to do too many things and tries to cover too much ground. Because I feel like there's so many interesting things that you can do with this, or like things that you could do with the characters, or different things that you could say, or that you could have happen. And it like tries to nail all the points, but since it can't give the lead up to any of them, they just don't really land, I guess.
I'd say that's a pretty solid summary, man.
Yeah, it would. This is funny because it actually ties into the first movie that we did. The first time that I watched Under the Silver Lake, this is what it felt like. I was just like, okay, I see what they're doing, but it just doesn't like really amount to anything. And then the second time I watched it, I'm like, oh, okay. It's better. It actually works. So I don't know. But that
maybe
one,
you got to rewatch it.
yeah, I mean that one also won the Palme d'Or, and this didn't, to my knowledge.
Wait, Under the Silver Lake won the Palme d'Or?
I'm pretty sure.
No way.
I'm pretty sure.
No freaking way. I'm looking this up. That's ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure it's an award-winning film. Like there's stupid awards like that.
You think the Palme d'Or is a stupid award?
No, what I meant was like something stupid that you would not expect it to win.
It does not look. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, and it does not say anything about the Palme d'Or under reception, I believe. What? It actually talks about how much it got a pretty negative reception. It won the it was awarded the Denise de Rougemont Youth Award at the Sitges Film Festival. And I
remember I remember watching it and seeing the Palme d'Or logo on it.
Well, I think what you're referring to is just film festival laurels, which all you have to do to get a film festival laurel is just be accepted into the film festival. And yeah, I've been accepted into film festivals. I have laurels on my thing. I didn't win a single award, but my movie was shown at those film festivals, or some of the film festivals, I don't even know if they actually exist, but,
So maybe it was shown at the Palme d'Or?
The Cannes Film
Festival?
Cannes
Film Festival? Yeah. I don't know. I thought I saw it.
It's cool. It's cool.
This is upsetting. I specifically remember it doing that, I guess.
Dude.
Maybe not.
You gotta a Palme d'Or winner stands the frick out, man. I think Parasite was the Palme d'Or winner this year. I still haven't seen Shoplifters, but I believe that won the Palme d'Or last year. I think Pulp Fiction won the Palme d'Or. Sex Lies and Videotape actually won the Palme d'Or. That was an interesting film. I see why it was, but,
Is it the Palme d'Or or is it the Palme d'Or?
Maybe the Palme d'Or, but I don't.
I'm pretty sure it's D-O apostrophe R.
It's D''OR, I believe.
Oh, okay. So it'd be d'Or.
But yeah, I don't think anybody would yell at anybody for saying Palme d'Or. But I'm sure I wonder what Palme d'Or even means.
Well, it's a type of wood that you make into it. Anyway, yeah, I guess I sound like an idiot now, but damn it. That's upsetting.
Okay, in English it means golden palm.
Huh. Is it in Italian?
No, it's in French,
Latin?
dude.
French? Oh.
French. Yeah.
I always thought that the
Cannes Film Festival is in France.
I don't know why I've always thought Cannes was in Italy. I did this last time they were talking about Cannes.
Yeah, bro. Cannes is one to know about, man. There's a French restaurant called the Palme d'Or. It's at the Miami Baltimore Hotel. I bet they serve delicious independent dishes.
Do you think that they're open right now?
You're trying to go to Miami right now?
No. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, do you think that they're open and like having in-house serving right now and serving people?
In Miami? I mean, it's
Yeah.
freaking Florida, dude. They're doing whatever they want right now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've covered.
Yeah. Do you think
We've
there's anything
covered
else
it.
to add?
No. No,
I would-
I think I'm all set, man.
I would like to see. I don't know. I feel like this movie could be very good and really good if it focused on 2, maybe 3 things instead of everything that it does.
I think this movie is bad and is bad.
But like a re-edit with like other stuff, or it like if it just had not been made in the way that it was, and like focused on.
Do I think it could have been better? Yes. Do I think it would be a good movie then? No.
I think it could be. I think it brings up some interesting topics, and I feel like Spike Lee isn't like, I feel like he can talk about them in a like interesting and like intelligent way. But I just feel like he just took on too much.
I think nothing short of a full rewrite and full redo of the whole film.
Yeah. I mean, I would want to see if they could re-edit it into something of like how much was left on the cutting room floor and how much you could like just completely change the movie into different things.
I still think it would be bad.
I mean, yeah, but it might be better.
Yeah, it could be better. But a better bad movie, like in this day and age where there's so much content, a bad movie's still a bad movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gotta be a 70% or higher to be worth anybody's time at this point, you know, with how much content is out there. You know, people don't have time to watch bad movies anymore. You know, there's so much good stuff that's perfect for them now. You know, and at the same time, that also has to do with like niche marketing, which I really appreciate. Where there's so many niches and so many, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that might be the other thing, is that this film just might not be for us.
I mean, maybe it is for just Vietnam vets. And, you know, in old Hollywood, that would be silly and stupid. But in new Hollywood, if you're making a movie for just Vietnam vets, if they all like the movie, that's a success, you know? I was watching something interesting. I watch a lot of this YouTube channel that just has lectures about screenwriting.
What's it called?
Film Courage.
Okay, I think I've heard of it.
It's enjoyable. They're pretty passionate. They offer a lot of just like things to think about, you know. They don't really offer too much that's like, oh, this solved my problem, you know? So it's not really some place to go if you're having an issue and you want to find the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a great place to go if while you're writing, before you're writing, after you're writing, you know, and you want to re-edit, you know, and revise. Just helpful to hear some thoughts and ideas, generally speaking. Some of them are really great idea motivators, too. But anyway, he's talking about TV shows. And he says that now that we have so much TV, what makes a good show is not how many viewers it has. What makes a good show is how many people that watch the first episode will watch every episode? Like, what percent? And I think that's called show follow-through. So that's kind of interesting. And he said that Girls had one of the highest show follow-throughs of any show.
Which is why it was, like, kept on going till, like, the end of time, basically.
I don't think we're talking about the same Girls.
Okay, never mind.
Because I think Girls has only been on since, like, maybe 2010, and I think it's already off air.
Are we talking about the one with Adam Driver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't it on for like 5 years?
That's not that long a run, I don't think, man.
I mean, 5 years is like a solid length.
I mean, it's a good run, but it's not like, man, that show was on forever. You know?
2012 to 2017. 62 episodes.
Yeah, that's a good run. I will say this, though. You know what had a better run?
What?
Seinfeld was on for...
Okay, yeah, but Seinfeld is like...
2 decades.
Seinfeld is like the pinnacle of like TV making or TV show making. Like everyone like every sort of like show like that is aiming for that like Friday Saturday night like NBC Fox type of ABC like spot. That's what they aim to be. That's what they want to be. They want to be the Seinfeld or the Friends.
Yeah, I would agree. You know what else has been on? I think It's Always Sunny has broken the record for number of seasons.
Yeah, it's 16. It's either 16 or in the 20s. It might be in the 20s.
I thought it was 14, but you know, all same difference. I think Seinfeld only got 9. But the other thing about that is that It's Always Sunny puts out about 10 episodes per season, which I always appreciate a 10-episode arc. I think...
Oh, I like it. It's great.
I think we've perfected the season length, because they used to be like 25 episodes in a season.
It's too much.
It's just too much. And so, anyway,
15 seasons.
15?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I was damn close.
Okay,
You
well,
were damn close
15 is supposed to come out in 2021.
Yeah, all right. Maybe...
Oh, I have Hulu. I can watch Sunny. Oh, yes.
I mean, you could stop around season 12.
You don't like the new ones?
Dude, they've... Ever since the gang goes black, I think. The gang turns black. I think that was the last good episode of It's Always Sunny. There have been... It's had a few other moments, but like when comparing it to, you know, the show it used to be,
What about the water park episode?
No.
Really? You didn't like that
episode? Nah, it was fine. Like at this point, I feel like It's Always Sunny is just good enough to where we're not gonna stop watching it. Like, if it was any worse than it is, everyone would stop. But it's just good enough to where there's the possibility of one more good episode.
So, a large follow-through.
Yeah, it does have a large follow-through, man.
Huh.
But yeah, I think if they ever were to, you know... stoop too far below where they are, dude. I almost even stopped watching during the clip show episode. That was awful.
The clip show? Which one was that?
I think it's called The Gang Does a Clip Show.
That would make sense.
It was in either the most recent or the second most recent season. I did like the art episode too.
Oh,
that
the art
was
episode
fun.
is great. The art episode is real.
The art episode was fun. But dude, if you compare that to, like, I don't know, seasons maybe 1 through 7, like, bro, doesn't even compare.
I'll have to watch the first couple of seasons because I've only seen New Sunny.
I will say the first season of Always Sunny is a very different show. And it doesn't start being like regular It's Always Sunny until season 2, episode 2. Which is still one of my favorite episodes.
Gotcha.
But
I'll probably watch that after this then.
But yeah, there are still great moments in the first season. It's just a totally different show.
Interesting. Huh.
It's a little more true to what it was supposed to be. You know what I mean? Whereas, like,
what was it supposed to be?
A show where you hate every character with a burning passion. They're all just terrible, awful people.
And then now what is it?
Who are all very self-centered.
What is it now?
It's now that, but a cartoon. And a very memeable cartoon.
Oh, did you like the sickness episode? The one where they're like, where they were like scared of getting sick or whatnot?
Oh, and they all start getting sick from alcohol poisoning?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're doing their doo-wop group. That was a fine episode. I think one of my favorite episodes is The Gang Solves the Gas Crisis. That one's one of my favorites.
I've heard of it, but I can't remember what happens.
The concept of that one is they realize that the thing that's holding them back is the fact that all other great teams have a brains, a bronze, and all these other labels. And they don't stick to their labels. So they come up with their labels and stick to their labels through the whole show.
That's funny. Because, like, I feel like that's the thing that It's Always Sunny does, is that they're just like, this is the shtick for the episode. We're gonna do it. I think this is the joke.
I do love that It's Always Sunny, when they do kind of become self-reflexive, they do it with a lot of class. Rick and Morty can do it in a really good way. I like when Rick and Morty breaks the fourth wall, but at the same time, it's not the same, like, class that It's Always Sunny has when they do it.
What do you think about the Rick and Morty ads?
Ads? What are you talking about?
Like, have you not been seeing, like, Rick and Morty ads?
Oh, Morty, we're in a Pringles ad.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's fun, But it is all just like, oh, haha, we could break the fourth wall.
It's an ad.
Which it's fun, and Rick and Morty does pull it off well. It's fun and enjoyable. It's not in the way that a lot of, like, lesser, not classy movies do it. But, It's Always Sunny takes it to a whole nother level when they make a whole show about, why they should get an Emmy. And it's just about the best bar competition. It is the most thinly veiled metaphor that still works soundly within its metaphor
That's funny.
bubble.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a funny episode because they're just like, fuck the Emmys. We should have won one. But yeah. All right. I think we've discussed enough.
We probably have.
All right.
Till
next time. I will talk to you
time.
later, Roberto.
Oh, yeah.
But next time it will be off the air.
No.
I stopped recording.
Okay.